Horse with No Name by America is one of those songs that I think a lot of beginning guitarists hit fairly early on, especially if you're into more classic rock type stuff and acoustic music. It is a low barrier to entry song. The whole song has 2 chords to it, but there are some nuances there that can really up the level of how it sounds. I'm going to show you 3 levels of Horse with No Name. The first way, if you've never played guitar before, this would be something you'd be able to play relatively quickly, okay? The second level is a more structured way to play the song, more in line with how the song is actually played on the recording. And the third way is a little bit more free. We're going to add in some aspects there that aren't necessarily exactly what's going on in the song and allows us to express ourselves a little bit as well. I'm Joshua Kenson, and this is Kenson Guitar Academy. I've played guitar for most of my life, and I love sharing that knowledge and passing it on to others who want to learn how to play the instrument as well. So if that's you, make sure to subscribe. So the first level we're going to go over is with an E minor, starts with E minor, and all 3 levels actually have the E minor here with some minor variation. So E minor, and then even though this next chord sounds a little complicated, super easy to play. This is a D6 sus2, okay? So all that is from the E minor is taking that 3rd finger that is currently on the 4th string at the 2nd fret and moving it down to the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. And this is simply strummed from the 4th string down. So we're not really including that 6th string and that 5th string, okay? So E minor, which is all strings, and then that D6 sus2 is just the top 4 strings, 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? So in order to play this, what we're gonna do on that E minor, we're going to kind of strike the root note. It doesn't need to be singularly the root note, that low E string, but at least the lower portion of the chord. On that first beat, we get that lower portion of the chord, and then we're gonna follow that up with a down, up, down, up, down, up. So on that E minor, that is root, down, up, down, up, down, up. Just like that, okay? Do that one more time with me. 2, 3, 4, root, down, up, down, up, down, up. One more time, root, 1, 2, 3, 4, root, down, up, down, up, down, up. And one thing you're gonna wanna pay attention to, even with just that root, down, up, down, up, down, up, the beat is what we call swung, okay? Each one is pushed a little bit to where that down up sounds like this, not. So notice that that second way is super rigid, very precise in the divisions of the beat. When we swing it, it has a little bit more motion to it. Ba, 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 not ba, 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 ba. All right, so we are trying to swing that beat. So again, E minor, 2, 3, 4, root, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now we move to that D6 sus2, and all we're gonna do for this very entry-level way is go down, up, and just let it be like that, okay? So again, that is E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, root, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Root, down, up, down, up, down, up, D. 3, 4, root, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can see where the strumming is actually super simple. We just start with that root area on that E minor, and then we have down, up, down, up, down, up. We switch to that D6 sus2, and we have a down, up, and then it rests for a moment there, okay? So if we're counting that, 1, 2, 3, 4, root, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are resting over that 3rd beat and that 4th beat, and then that cycle just returns to the beginning, and that is the whole song. There is no other part to this song. That's why it's a great entry-level song. 2 chords, multiple ways that we can play it, and it just sounds good, okay? So this is one of those ones that you can really just kind of get lost in a little bit, which I think is a really important thing when you are first learning, to be able to play something for an extended period of time, be able to take that progression and play it for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, really get lost in the rhythm of it. That is going to really push the needle forward for you, okay? So that is level 1. One more time, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. And I'm playing that at a slightly slower pace right now, but we can speed it up. 2, 3, 4. Just like that. So level 2, this is much more in line with the actual recording, okay? So we're no longer going to use that D6 sus2, but we are going to play an F sharp minor and kind of have this droning. This is the actual chord that's being played, okay? That D6 chord sounds really close to it because it has a lot of shared notes and it's simpler to play, so you'll see a lot of tutorials used that way for beginners. But this is really the chord that they are playing, okay? It is an F sharp minor, really F sharp minor 7, and then we have this drone over the top, okay, with that E, and open B, okay? So the E minor basically stays the same. We can maybe try to work on our rhythmic sense a little bit, make it seem a little bit more flowy, not as rigid as maybe that beginner way, but ultimately same way, okay? So E minor. And then instead of just going down, up, like that, so let's try that this way first. Sounds good. It might be a good in-between, but we really want to get this kind of upbeat feel, okay? So on that, we're really going to accentuate that kind of sound, very signature to this song, that upbeat feel, okay? So we have E minor, then we're gonna strike the root on that F sharp, and same deal, we can kind of grab a couple notes if we want, and then up, and we have like a up, down, up at the end there, right? So it's root, down, up, down, up, down, up, root, up, down, up, root, down, up, down, up, down, up, root, up, down, up, root. And notice, if I lift my fingers a little bit on that F sharp, it kind of cuts the rhythm short a little and gives us this little staccato feeling on that upbeat bop. So it's not ringing out, but it cuts short, right? So what you can do there is when you strike that up, you just lift your fingers off for a second. Don't lift them off from the strings entirely, but release the pressure, and that's going to stop some of those tones from ringing out. The other thing that you can do, I'm kind of like letting my fingers collapse here a little bit, and when they collapse, what they're doing is catching all the other strings, so we get this. We just stop all those other strings, and that really accentuates even further that staccato accent there, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor. And you can even keep that right hand moving through that mute, right? So when I mute the strings, I still kind of catch the strings on the way down, even when the strings are being muted. We get that little rake through. 1, 2, 3, 4. So very much more in line with what the song is actually doing. And I would say most of the tutorials that you see out there are going to reference this way. So now, that being completely correct, all we're gonna do in level 3 is kind of add some decoration to what we're doing. There's a couple small things, even on the recording, that they do, not every single time, but a lot of the times, to add extra flavor to what's going on with those chords, okay? So for that E minor, what we're also going to add into the mix is the 2nd fret of the 1st string, that is F sharp. And you'll hear this every once in a while. right here. So it just adds a little bit of extra melodic content to the chords themselves. Da, 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 da. Really nice. Okay, so the other thing that I'm kind of doing there, though, it's really kind of a rake through the strings. So when I go into that E minor, but I have that F sharp in there, sometimes I'll go that right there instead of, and that really adds an extra layer of kind of emotive sound to what we're doing. I love that sound. That sounds so good. So we have that E minor adding in that F sharp at the top. We have that little rake that we can add into it. But there are other things that we can do that aren't even necessarily in the song, right? So we could add in D, which would be E minor 7. And this note is very present in the actual melody that is being sung over the song. So if you had it's kind of a cool variation from that. You could also use that. Just another thing that you could do. Doesn't mean it's even necessarily in the song, but I think the point of level 3 here is that you are allowed to be creative. You're allowed to put your own little rhythmic touch, your own little melodic touch to what's going on. I think the mark of a musician who is beyond just a beginner is someone that puts in their own touches to the music that they're playing. It's important to know how things are done on the recordings, but ultimately we have to use those as a guide as to this is the structure of the song. But then as soon as you start adding in your little tidbits as well, that's the sign of someone that is growing as a musician. Okay, so we have that F sharp added in, we have the rake in there. What could we do over the F sharp minor? Now, this is actually in the song. What a lot of tutorials miss is at some points within the song, when they're playing this F sharp minor, they're also releasing their third finger and getting that open D. So it's kind of a so hear the difference there, it's very subtle. You could almost miss it. So it's just another layer of internal melody going on, okay? So if we kind of add all of those little spices together, we kind of get a little bit more of a free sounding song here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Start off normal maybe. Maybe rake into that F sharp. This time maybe we'll do the open D, open D into the rake, maybe E minor 7. You can do both, so that was the F sharp and the minor 7. Add in that open D there. So there's a lot of movement that you can start to add into here. The other thing I would add into the mix is the sense of dynamics. Even if the song is kind of at a singular dynamic, you practicing it in kind of quieter settings and then gradually increasing the intensity and playing it at a high dynamic, at a medium dynamic, those low dynamics. Those are all things that will transfer over to any song that you are playing. The idea of the loudness and softness of music, okay? So maybe over that E minor, we're just this nice... We get a little louder with the rake. Bring it back down. Little rake there without the F sharp. One more. So there you have 3 levels of how you can play the song Horse with No Name by America. Now, I think a beautiful point that this song kind of brings to mind, learning it this way, is that music is evolving in you as you are learning to play the instrument. You might learn something one way when you first start the instrument, and then you might come back to that song a year or 2 later, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I used to play that song. I'm going to play it now and see if I remember how to do it. And you're adding in all these extra little things that you have kind of acquired over the years, and whether that's even just rhythmic sense or dynamic sense, or those ways to add in little melodies, there are ways that you can move to previous things that you were once playing and have a whole lot more to learn from them just by experiencing them again, giving them another try and seeing what you may have missed at first. Perfect example is that open D there. It is such a subtle little difference. I don't even think you would miss it, but it is there. And so what that also may tell you is when you come back and you notice things like that, your ear has developed. So maybe you never would have recognized that before, but you hear the song and you're like, I don't remember that. I don't remember, I feel like I hear that open D string in there. So you go and pick up your guitar and you find that chord change. You're like, yep, that's in there. I never recognized that before. I guarantee you, as you are learning this instrument and as you start to actively listen to the music that you are trying to learn, you are going to hear things in songs that you have never heard before. I don't care if you've listened to that song 100 times, 200 times and more. There are songs that I thought that I knew inside and out just because I enjoyed them and I wanted to listen to them a lot. But then when I went to go play them later on, after maybe having learned it when I was a kid and then coming back as an adult and trying it again or kind of revisiting it and be like, I'm playing this wrong. I'm missing this aspect of it. And that's just because my ear has developed over the years, and things that sounded correct, and I wouldn't say they were totally incorrect when you were a kid or whatever, or when you were first learning, as your ear develops, it's going to be in tune more acutely to what is going on. So I think that is another reason to kind of go back to these songs and learn them at different levels. I hope that you found this video helpful. I would love to be a resource to you if you're just starting guitar. So if you are new to guitar, drop a comment down below and say hi. Let me know how I can be of help to you. Also, let me know what other songs you would want to learn down in the comments. I'm looking to make a lot of song tutorials this year, a lot more long form videos. I kind of focused a lot on short form last year. So I have a lot of long form videos coming, tutorials, more concepts, stuff like that. And I do a lot of practice sessions over on my Patreon as well. So if you're interested in guided practice through scales and chord changes, make sure to check me out over there. I even have a free tier, so make sure to check it out. Again, I'm Joshua Kenson. Thank you so much for watching. This is Kenson Guitar Academy, and I'll see you in the next one.